Friends, this story is about two children who get stuck on an island in the sea and live on the same island for many years. But when both of them grow up, feelings start coming in both of them, due to which they often gossip with each other. But now how will they get out of this island? And finally, friends, they got stuck here to enjoy the story. You must stay till the end, so let's start without wasting time. At the beginning of the story, we see a ship in which there was a family where we see two children. The boy's name is Richard and the girl's name is Ameline. Both of them are cousins of each other, and here their father was also with them, whose name was Arthur. There is also a cook on the same ship, whose name was Paddy, and he used to cook food for everyone on the ship. Richard and Ameline go to Paddy's room and start looking at his personal photos. Then Paddy comes there and he starts beating Richard. But then suddenly the ship catches fire and everyone starts running here and there. Paddy takes Richard and Ameline with him in a boat. But Richard's father Arthur is left behind on the ship and all the people on the ship are killed. On the other side, Paddy and the children call out to Arthur, but they cannot see anything due to the smoke, and they move ahead, but they spend the whole night traveling and the next morning they reach an island. Paddy. When PD sees that island, he becomes very happy and takes his boat to that island. When they go there and look around, they find out that all the things that can keep them alive are present there, like water to drink and food to eat. These people were very happy to come to this island, because Paddy had found a bottle of alcohol there. Richard finds a human skull there, which he brings to Paddy. Paddy understands after seeing it. There is danger for them here, so he takes Richard and Emmeline to another place, but there Emmeline eats some poisonous berries, due to which Paddy gets angry at her and throws a bullet in her face. He takes them out. At night, PD is sitting and drinking alcohol. Then he hears some sounds from the other side of the island. When PD goes there and looks, he finds out that people are sacrificed there. PD gets scared and goes back to the children and starts explaining to them and tells them that they should never go to that side of the island. After that, Paddy starts playing with these children. But Paddy had drunk too much alcohol, so he falls asleep. The next morning, Paddy goes to the water with his alcohol bottle to take a bath, but he drowns in the water. When the children wake up, they do not see Paddy there, so they start searching for Paddy, but they find him. Paddy is on the other side of the island. Richard and Ameline go to Paddy, but when they go there and look, they find out that Paddy is dead and they get very scared because now they are left alone on that island. At night, when both of them are sitting, Ameline cries and says to Richard, "Take me away from here." Because Ameline was very scared of Paddy's death and Paddy was her last hope. The next morning these people leave to go to another island, and after reaching there, the first thing they do is build a house for themselves and spend many years there, and Paddy had already taught these people to survive on the island, and now time passes slowly. And both of them become adults and feelings start coming in both of them and they both start noticing each other. But they did not know anything because both of them were alone since childhood and there was no one to tell them what are the feelings of a boy and a girl. One day Ameline goes to take a bath, but then suddenly blood starts coming out of her body, seeing which she gets scared. Hearing her scream, Richard also comes there, but because it was Ameline's first period, the blood was coming out of her body only. Richard asks Ameline about the blood as he felt Ameline was hurt somewhere, but Ameline asks him to leave. The next day Richard tries to ask Ameline why he was seeing blood in the water as he still felt the same. Maybe Ameline has got a serious injury, so he is trying to show his injury to Ameline? He asks her to tell him, but Ameline does not tell him anything. Richard gets angry at this and feels that Ameline has started hiding many things from him. So he gets angry and leaves from there, and now as time passes, both of them start coming closer to each other. But they did not know what was happening to them because both of them were unaware of all this. One day when Emmeline was doing some work, she heard some noise. When Emmeline went to see, she found out that the noise was coming from another island where Paddy had forbidden them to go. When Emmeline went there and looked, she saw a huge statue there and blood was also coming out from there. Seeing this, Ameline gets very scared and runs to Richard and tells him about the statue. But Richard gets angry at Amlin because Patty had forbidden them to go there, and Richard and Amlin had promised that they would never go there. But Amlin had broken Patty's promise, so Richard he gets angry at Amalin. At night, when Amalin is sleeping, she has a dream in which she sees that Richard is drowning in water and he is dead, due to which she wakes up and gets very scared. Then Richard also comes there. Amalin tells Richard, "You should never leave me, I never want to lose you," and she kisses him. Richard's desire is aroused by Emlyn's kiss and he tries to be close to her. But Emlyn does not like all this and she leaves from there. The next day Richard goes back to Emlyn and starts touching her, but Emlyn asks him to go from there. The next morning when Richard goes to catch fish, so Emlyn tries to talk to him, but Richard gets angry and leaves from there. When Emlyn goes behind him to talk to him, she sees Richard doing something behind the stones, but Emlyn cannot understand what he is doing. When she asks Richard, Richard gets angry at her. The next day when Richard was doing some work, when he sees a ship coming in the sea, he runs to call it to him because he had collected a lot of wood at one place so that when he sets them on fire, the ship can see them. Amalin also sees the ship, but she could have set the wood on fire. But she does not do so because now he started liking it there. Before Richard could reach there, the ship left the place. Richard got very angry with Amalini for this and made a wooden boat and started leaving the place alone. But his boat was not very strong, so it sank in the water in a short while and Richard fell down. Seeing this, Amalini started laughing at him. And she starts making fun of Richard and says to him, "I know what you were doing behind the stone that day." Richard angrily says to Emelian, "That means you watch me secretly." Then Emelian also tells him that you also watch me many times secretly without clothes. Hearing this, Richard gets even more angry and he goes inside the hut. He starts throwing out all of Amalin's belongings and tells Amalin that he has built this house and now he will not let her live in his house. Amalin also takes her belongings and leaves from there. One day when it is raining, Amalin is hiding in a place and both of them start living separately from each other. One day Amalin takes a flower and hides it in the same place. She goes to the statue of Empress Catherine because she has started considering him as her god. While she is returning after placing flowers there, Empress accidentally steps on a poisonous fish which causes her to get sick. When Richard sees Empress a few days later, he finds out that Empress' condition is very bad. He asks Empress about her health. Emlyn tells him that her foot was accidentally stepped on by a poisonous fish, and its poison is spreading inside her. Emlyn tells Richard, "Take me to my god." So Richard takes her to that statue and starts praying to God to cure Ameline. God also listens to Richard and cures Ameline, and now Ameline is completely cured. So both of them swim together and reach their island, and now they start living together. One day Richard and Amalin are sitting together and now both of them come closer to each other and start hugging each other, and they were doing something like this for the first time today. Therefore, the feelings of both of them were new and they enjoyed doing all this a lot. Was coming, and these people would now do it several times a day, and in this way they spend a lot of time on this island. One day Richard comes to Emlyn and asks her to be intimate, but Emlyn refuses and tells Richard that there is some movement in my stomach. I am not able to understand anything, and she says to Richard. Path keeps it on her stomach. Richard also feels something moving in Amelyn's stomach, but both of them do not understand anything. Actually, Ameline was pregnant. After a few days, Richard goes to the statue on the other side of the island where he sees that some tribal people were sacrificing a man there. Seeing this, he gets very scared, so he runs from there and goes to Amalin, but Amalin was screaming loudly because she was having a lot of pain in her stomach. Richard goes to her and tries to help her, but he is unable to do anything. Amalin now gives birth to a child. They are very happy to see the child and bring him to their home, but the child is hungry. The child is crying, but Richard and Amalin do not understand what to feed him. They do not know that the child does not need food but mother's milk. Now seeing the child crying, Amalin hugs him, due to which the child starts drinking his mother's milk on his own. And now they name this child Petty, because these people call him Petty. They used to miss him a lot. Now they started living happily with that child, and now slowly time passes and that child also started growing up. One day when Richard goes to that island where he used to go with the first generation, he starts remembering his childhood by seeing the things of his childhood. There their son was standing near a tree, and he keeps the poisonous bull with him. When Emlyn boards the boat to return to her island, the rower falls from her hand, causing her boat to move forward. When she calls out to Richard, Richard starts running towards her, but a shark is following Richard. So Emlyn throws another boatman at the shark and the shark goes away from there and Richard gets on top of the boat. But now they had nothing to steer the boat. So the boat sinks in the sea. The boat starts moving ahead and now they have spent a lot of time traveling in the boat and now they are hungry too. So their child eats the poisonous bull. Emlyn sees him doing this, which makes her feel that her child will die now and she cannot live without her child because he was her last hope. So both of them decide to give up their lives by eating that bull and both of them fall unconscious. On the other side, their boat is seen by Richard's father, who is still alive. He asks his men to check them and he finds out those people are unconscious, so he takes them with him, and this is the suspense that continues in this movie. This is the ending. Friends, if you liked the video, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.